Hello and welcome to Calm Mind, a place where thoughts are allowed to slow down. You don't need to make anything happen or arrive anywhere. Right now, your only invitation is to be here. Just this. Just you. Just resting. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw release. Allow your eyelids to grow heavy in their own time. No rush. Let's close the door on the day together and begin. Tonight, we dismantle a lie you've been living with. A lie so deeply embedded you might not even recognize it as a lie. The lie that you must earn rest. Tonight, we explore the most insidious belief our culture has planted in you. The belief that keeps you from resting peacefully even when you're exhausted. The belief that creates guilt every time you try to stop. The belief that rest must be earned. If these gentle journeys are meaningful to you, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a reflection below. It helps other restless minds find their way here. But for now, your only task is to relax. Right now, lying here trying to rest, you might feel it. The subtle guilt. The nagging sense that you haven't done enough to deserve this. That you should be doing something productive instead. That rest is a luxury you haven't yet earned. This guilt is so familiar it feels like truth. So constant it feels normal. So deeply ingrained you might not even question it. Of course rest must be earned. Of course you must deserve it. Of course you can't just rest without justification. But tonight, we're questioning this. We're examining this belief. And we're discovering it's not truth. It's conditioning. Not natural law, it's cultural programming. Not how things must be, it's how you've been taught to believe. And once you see this belief clearly, once you recognize it as the lie it is, you can begin to release it. You can begin to rest without guilt. You can begin to claim rest as your right, not something you must earn. Because here's the truth, rest is not something you earn. It never was. It never will be. Rest is a basic human need, like breathing or eating. And you don't earn the right to breathe. You don't earn the right to eat. You don't earn the right to rest. Let's acknowledge the guilt you might be feeling right now, because it's probably present, even as you lie here trying to rest. Maybe you're thinking about what you didn't accomplish today, the tasks left undone, the productivity you fell short of, and this creates a nagging sense. You don't really deserve to rest yet. You haven't earned it. Or maybe you're thinking about tomorrow, all the things you need to do, and resting tonight feels like stealing time from tomorrow's productivity. Like you should be preparing, planning, doing something useful instead of just lying here. Or maybe you're comparing yourself to others. People who seem to accomplish so much more, who work harder, who do more, and by comparison, you feel like you haven't earned the right to rest. They deserve rest. You don't. Or maybe the guilt is more subtle. Just a vague sense that resting is wrong, that you should be doing something, that lying here is wasteful, that rest is indulgent, that you're being lazy. Whatever form the guilt takes, just notice it. Don't judge it. Don't try to fix it yet. Just recognize, this is the guilt. This is the lie in action. This is the programming telling you rest must be earned. And tonight, we're going to challenge this guilt. Question it. Dismantle it. And ultimately, release it, so you can rest freely, without the burden of believing you must deserve it first. Tonight is about breaking free from the lie, about releasing the guilt, about claiming rest as your right, not something you must earn. We're not going to convince you that you've done enough to deserve rest. That's still playing the game. That's still accepting the premise that rest must be earned, just arguing you've met the threshold. We're rejecting the premise entirely. Instead, we're recognizing that rest doesn't require justification. Whether you were productive today or not, irrelevant. Whether you accomplished your goals or not, doesn't matter. Whether you worked hard or hardly worked, beside the point. You need rest because you're a living being. Period. That's the only justification required. And that justification exists always, regardless of what you do or don't do. Tonight, we'll explore where productivity guilt comes from, why it's false, how it harms you, and how to release it. We'll practice resting without earning it. We'll claim rest as an unconditional right. And in doing so, you might experience something you've rarely experienced: rest without guilt. Rest without justification. Rest without the burden of believing you must deserve it. True rest. Free rest. Rest that's yours simply because you're alive. Here's something important. You don't need permission to rest. Not from me. not from anyone, not from yourself. Rest is not something granted by permission. It's something you're entitled to, always. But I know you're carrying the belief that you do need permission, that you need someone or something to tell you it's okay to rest, that you need to check boxes before rest is allowed. So while you don't need permission, I'm offering it anyway. Not because you need it, but because you might need to hear it. Need to be told explicitly, you're allowed to rest. Right now. Without having accomplished enough. Without having earned it. Without justification. You're allowed. So here it is. You have unconditional permission to rest. Not because you did enough today. Not because you'll be productive tomorrow. Not because you earned it. But simply because you're a human being and human beings need rest. You're allowed to rest when you're tired. You're allowed to rest when you haven't finished everything. You're allowed to rest even if others are still working. You're allowed to rest even if you wasted time today. You're allowed to rest. Period. This permission is unconditional. It doesn't depend on your performance. It doesn't require justification. It doesn't need to be earned. It's yours simply because you exist. Receive this permission. Let it sink in. Let it challenge the belief that you must earn rest. Let it offer you the freedom to rest without guilt, without justification, without conditions. Let's begin releasing the guilt right now. Not all at once. That's rarely how release works. But beginning. Taking the first steps toward freedom from productivity guilt. Notice the guilt that's present, whatever form it takes. The sense you haven't done enough. The feeling you should be doing something else. The belief you don't deserve this rest. Just notice it. And now, question it. Ask, is this true? Do I really need to earn rest? Or is this just conditioning? Just programming? Just a lie I've been taught to believe? Let yourself doubt the guilt. Let yourself question whether rest really must be earned. Let yourself wonder if maybe, just maybe, you're allowed to rest simply because you're human and humans need rest. You don't have to be certain. You don't have to fully believe yet. Just doubt the guilt. Just question the lie. Just wonder if there might be another way. And as you question, notice if there's any softening, any small release, any slight easing of the guilt. You don't need dramatic transformation, just a little softening, a little questioning, a little space between you and the guilt. This is the beginning. This questioning, this doubting the guilt, this wondering if rest might not need to be earned after all. And from this beginning, freedom can grow. Tonight, you're taking the first steps toward rest without guilt, toward claiming rest as your right, toward freedom from the lie that you must earn the right to rest. Now let's look more deeply at productivity guilt, where it comes from, how it operates, and why it's based on false premises. Understanding the guilt helps you dismantle it. Productivity guilt is based on an equation. Your worth equals your productivity. The more you produce, the more valuable you are. The less you produce, the less you're worth. This equation is everywhere in our culture. You're judged by what you accomplish, valued by what you produce, measured by your output. Your worth is calculated based on your productivity. And if your worth equals your productivity, then rest becomes problematic. Because rest is not productive. Rest produces nothing. So when you rest, you become worthless. Or at least, less worthy than when you're being productive. This creates guilt around rest. If resting makes you worthless, of course you feel guilty about it. Of course you feel like you shouldn't rest unless you've produced enough to offset the worthlessness of resting. But here's the problem. The equation is false. Your worth does not equal your productivity. Your worth is not calculated by what you produce. You are not valuable because you're productive. You're valuable because you exist. A baby is valuable, yes? But babies produce nothing. They accomplish nothing. They contribute nothing to productivity, yet they have complete, unconditional worth. Because worth doesn't come from productivity, it's inherent in being alive. You had worth as a baby, and you didn't lose that worth when you became an adult. Your worth is still inherent, still unconditional, still independent of what you produce. The equation is false. Your worth does not equal your productivity. When you truly understand this, when you internalize that your worth is inherent, productivity guilt loses its foundation. Because if your worth doesn't depend on productivity, then rest doesn't make you worthless. Rest is just rest, not a threat to your worth. just a biological necessity. Productivity guilt operates through an impossible standard. There's always more you could have done, always more you could do, so you never quite meet the threshold where rest is fully justified. Finished your work. You could have done more. Could have gotten ahead on tomorrow's tasks. Could have improved what you did. Could have been more efficient. The standard keeps moving. Had a productive day. Someone else was more productive. Someone else accomplished more. Compared to them, you didn't do enough. The standard is always beyond you. This is how productivity guilt maintains itself, through an impossible, ever-moving standard. You can never quite meet it, never quite do enough to fully deserve rest without guilt. The guilt is designed to be permanent. But here's the thing. An impossible standard is not a real standard. It's a trap. It's designed to keep you always striving, always producing, always guilty for resting. It's not a measure of whether you deserve rest. It's a tool to prevent you from ever feeling like you deserve rest. Once you see this, you can step out of the game. You can recognize there is no amount of productivity that will make me feel like I've earned rest, because the standard is designed to be unmeetable. So I might as well rest now, without trying to meet an impossible standard. The impossible standard is not your guide to when rest is earned. It's a trap keeping you from ever resting without guilt. And you can choose to stop playing that game. Productivity guilt serves a function. It keeps you working, keeps you producing, keeps you from resting too much. It's a control mechanism. When you feel guilty about resting, what do? You cut rest short. You get back to work sooner. You make up for resting by being extra productive later. The guilt controls your behavior, ensuring you stay productive. This serves the system that benefits from your productivity. The economy needs you productive. Your employer needs you productive. The culture of capitalism needs you productive. So it cultivates guilt around rest, ensuring you don't rest too much. But this guilt doesn't serve you. It doesn't protect your well-being. It doesn't honor your humanity. It serves the systems that extract productivity from you. It keeps you in service to productivity at the expense of your own needs. When you recognize guilt as a control mechanism, not your inner wisdom, but external programming designed to keep you productive, you can begin to resist it. You can recognize, this guilt is not protecting me. It's controlling me, and I don't have to obey it. What would happen if you let go of productivity guilt? Would you become completely lazy? Would you stop doing anything productive? This is what the guilt wants you to believe. But it's not true. Without guilt, you might actually find a healthier relationship with productivity. Doing things because you want to, not because you must. Resting when you need to, not when you've earned it. A natural rhythm of activity and rest, not a guilt-driven compulsion to constant productivity. Guilt is not your friend. It's not protecting you. It's controlling you. And you can choose to release its control. Productivity guilt thrives on comparison. You compare yourself to others, to their productivity, to their accomplishments, and you feel guilty that you're not doing as much. Someone else worked a 12-hour day. You only worked 8. They deserve rest more than you. Someone else published 3 papers this year. You only published 1. They've earned rest. You haven't. Someone else seems to do it all: work, family, hobbies, exercise. You can barely manage work. They deserve rest. You don't. But comparison is a trap, because there will always be someone more productive, always someone doing more, always someone accomplishing more. If your right to rest depends on measuring up to others, you'll never feel like you deserve rest. And here's what you don't see in comparison: their struggles, their exhaustion, their guilt, the nights they lie awake feeling like they didn't do enough. The productivity you envy from the outside is often crushing them from the inside. You're comparing your insides to their outsides, your messy reality to their curated productivity, and this comparison makes you feel guilty for resting. But the comparison is false. You're comparing incomparable things. More importantly, your need for rest doesn't depend on comparison. You don't need to be the most productive to deserve rest. You don't need to measure up to others to justify rest. Your need for rest is yours alone. It exists independent of what anyone else is doing. When you stop comparing, you can start recognizing your own needs. Not do I deserve rest compared to others, but do I need rest, period? And the answer is yes. You need rest, regardless of what anyone else is doing. Your body needs rest. That's not up for comparison. Release the comparison. Your rest doesn't need to be justified by measuring up to others. Your rest is justified by being human. And that's true whether you're the most productive person in the world or the least. Your body knows you need rest, regardless of productivity, regardless of accomplishment. Your body has its own wisdom, independent of cultural programming about earned rest. When you're tired, your body signals it through heaviness, through difficulty concentrating, through slower reactions, through yawning. Your body is saying, I need rest. Not I need rest if you've been productive enough. Just, I need rest. Your body doesn't have productivity guilt. It doesn't check whether you accomplished enough before getting tired. It just gets tired when it needs rest. It operates on biological reality, not cultural conditioning. But you've learned to override your body's signals, to push through tiredness because you haven't earned rest yet, to drink caffeine to suppress exhaustion, to ignore your body's clear communication that it needs rest. Tonight, can you listen to your body instead of your guilt? Can you honor what your body is telling you about its need for rest? Can you trust your body's wisdom over cultural programming? Your body knows you need rest. Your body knows rest isn't something you earn. It's something you need. Your body knows rest is a biological necessity, not a reward for productivity. Trust your body. When guilt says you haven't done enough to deserve rest, your body says, but I'm exhausted and need rest. Which will you believe? The cultural programming or the biological wisdom? Tonight, let your body be your guide. Listen to its signals. Trust its wisdom. And let that be enough justification for rest. Your body needs rest. That's all the justification required. So how do you begin dismantling productivity guilt? How do you start freeing yourself from this conditioning? First, by seeing it clearly, recognizing guilt for what it is. Not truth, but conditioning. Not wisdom, but programming. Not protection, but control. You've done this work tonight. You're seeing the guilt more clearly. Second, by questioning it. Every time guilt says you don't deserve rest, ask, is that true? Do I really need to earn rest? Or is rest a basic need I'm entitled to regardless of productivity? Question the guilt. Don't accept it as truth. Third, by choosing to rest anyway, even with guilt present. Guilt might not disappear immediately, but you can feel guilty and still rest. You can notice the guilt and choose not to let it control you. You can rest even though guilt says you shouldn't. Fourth, by being patient with yourself. This conditioning is deep. It won't release all at once. There will be nights you still feel guilty. That's okay. That's part of the process. Be gentle with yourself as you learn to rest without guilt. Fifth, by returning to the truth. Again and again. Rest is not something you earn. Rest is a basic need. You deserve rest because you're human and humans need rest. Return to this truth whenever guilt tries to convince you otherwise. The dismantling happens slowly, layer by layer, night by night. Each time you question the guilt, you loosen its grip. Each time you rest despite guilt, you weaken its control. Each time you return to the truth, you strengthen your freedom. Tonight is part of that process. You're dismantling productivity guilt. Not all at once, but beginning. Taking steps toward freedom. Learning to rest without earning it. And that's enough. Now let's shift from dismantling the lie to establishing the truth. Rest is not something you earn. It's a human right. A fundamental entitlement. Something you deserve simply by being human. A right is something you're entitled to simply by existing. Not something you earn. Not something conditional. Not something granted only to those who deserve it. A right is inherent, unconditional, belonging to you by virtue of being human. You have the right to breathe. You don't earn the right to breathe through good behavior or productivity. You're entitled to breathe simply because you're alive. Breathing is your right. You have the right to drink water. You don't earn hydration. You don't deserve water only if you've been productive. You're entitled to water because you're a living being who needs water to survive. Water is your right. You have the right to eat. Food isn't a reward for accomplishment. It's not conditional on productivity. You're entitled to eat because your body needs nutrition to function. Food is your right. Rest is the same. Rest is something your body needs to function, to survive, to be healthy. You're entitled to rest because you're a living being whose body requires rest. Rest is your right. This might feel radical, because our culture doesn't treat rest as a right. Our culture treats rest as a reward, something you get only after sufficient productivity, something you must earn, something conditional. But the culture is wrong. Rest is not a reward, it's a right. You don't earn it, you're entitled to it. It's not conditional, it's inherent. Rest is your human right. And when you understand rest as a right, everything changes. You don't have to justify it, don't have to earn it, don't have to feel guilty about it. You're simply claiming what's already yours, what you're entitled to, your right to rest. Let's be absolutely clear about why rest is a right. Because your body biologically requires it. This isn't optional. This isn't a preference. This is biological imperative. When you don't rest enough, your body breaks down. Your immune system weakens. Your cognitive function declines. Your emotional regulation deteriorates. Your physical health suffers. Chronic sleep deprivation causes real, measurable harm. You wouldn't say someone needs to earn the right to not be harmed. You wouldn't say someone must be productive enough to deserve protection from damage. Yet that's essentially what earned rest means. You must be productive enough to deserve protection from the harm of sleep deprivation. This is absurd. You don't earn the right to have basic biological needs met. You don't earn the right to avoid harm. These are fundamental rights. And rest, being a biological necessity, is a fundamental right. Your body needs rest, not as a luxury, not as a reward, as a basic requirement for functioning. This need exists whether you've been productive or not, whether you've accomplished anything or not, whether you've earned it or not. Your body needs rest, period. And if your body needs it, you have a right to it. Just like you have a right to food because your body needs nutrition. Just like you have a right to water because your body needs hydration. You have a right to rest because your body needs rest. This isn't about deserving. This isn't about earning. This is about biological reality. Your body requires rest. Therefore, you have a right to rest. It's that simple. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a document created to establish fundamental human rights, explicitly includes rest. Article 24 states, everyone has the right to rest and leisure. Not everyone who has been productive enough. Not everyone who has earned it. Not everyone who deserves it. Everyone. You. Me. Every human being. We all have the right to rest. This right isn't conditional on productivity. It's not granted only to those who work hard enough. It's universal. It belongs to everyone, simply by virtue of being human. The framers of this declaration understood something fundamental. Rest is essential to human dignity, essential to well-being, essential to being treated humanely. Denying someone rest, or making rest conditional on productivity, is a violation of human rights. You have a right to rest. Not because any declaration says so. The declaration simply recognizes what's already true. You have a right to rest because you're human, because your body needs it, because your dignity requires it. Tonight, you're not asking permission to rest. You're not trying to earn rest. You're claiming your right. A right that already belongs to you. A right that can't be taken away by productivity requirements or guilt. You have the right to rest. Say it to yourself. Let it sink in. Let it challenge the belief that rest must be earned. You have the right to rest, not the conditional privilege, the unconditional right. Let's look at what conditional rest really means. What it means to say someone must earn the right to meet a basic biological need. Imagine saying to someone, you can eat, but only if you've been productive enough today. Or you can drink water, but only if you've accomplished your goals. We'd recognize this as cruel, as inhumane, as a violation of basic dignity. Yet this is exactly what we do with rest. You can rest, but only if you've been productive enough. You can sleep, but only if you've earned it. We make rest conditional on productivity, and somehow this doesn't seem cruel to us. It seems normal. But it is cruel. Making a basic biological need conditional on productivity is inherently cruel. It's treating yourself, or allowing others to treat you, as a machine that only gets maintenance after sufficient output. You wouldn't treat an animal this way. You wouldn't say to your dog, you haven't been good enough today. No rest for you. You recognize that animals need rest simply because they're living beings. You give them rest unconditionally. Can you extend to yourself the compassion you'd extend to an animal? Can you recognize that making your own rest conditional on productivity is a form of cruelty to yourself? You deserve better than conditional rest. You deserve to have your basic needs met, unconditionally. You deserve to rest when you're tired, regardless of what you've accomplished. You deserve humane treatment. And humane treatment includes unconditional rest. Self-care has become a buzzword, but at its core, self-care means meeting your own basic needs. And rest is one of those basic needs. You wouldn't feel guilty about feeding yourself. You wouldn't think, "I haven't earned food today." You recognize that eating is basic self-care, meeting your body's need for nutrition. Rest is the same. Rest is basic self-care, meeting your body's need for restoration. You don't need to earn self-care. You don't need to justify meeting your basic needs. But our culture has complicated this. Self-care has been made to seem optional, indulgent, something you do only after you've taken care of everything else, something you earn through sufficient productivity. But self-care isn't optional. Meeting your basic needs isn't indulgent. Rest isn't something you do only after everything else is done. Rest is fundamental self-care, and you're entitled to meet your basic needs. Tonight, you're practicing self-care, not as a luxury, not as something earned, but as meeting a basic need. You're resting because your body needs rest. You're caring for yourself. And that's not only allowed, it's essential. Rest is how you care for yourself, how you honor your body's needs, how you treat yourself with the dignity and compassion you deserve. Rest is self-care, and self-care is your right. So how do you claim your right to rest? How do you shift from believing rest must be earned to knowing rest is your right? First, by recognizing rest as a right, not just intellectually, but deeply. Your body needs rest. Therefore, you have a right to rest. This is true whether you've been productive or not. Second, by refusing to justify rest. When guilt demands justification, what did you do today to earn rest? Refuse to answer. Your right to rest doesn't depend on productivity. You don't need to justify exercising your rights. Third, by resting without conditions. Not, "I'll rest after I finish this." Not I'll rest if I'm productive tomorrow. Not I'll rest because I worked hard today. Just I'll rest because I have the right to rest. Fourth, by treating rest as non-negotiable. Just like you wouldn't negotiate away your right to breathe, don't negotiate away your right to rest. Your body needs rest. End of discussion. Fifth, by extending this right to others. When you see others resting, resist judging them. They have the right to rest, just like you. When you stop judging others' rest, it becomes easier to stop judging your own. You have the right to rest. Right now. Tonight. Without earning it. Without justifying it. Without guilt. This is your right. Claim it. When you rest without earning it, you're not just caring for yourself. You're participating in justice. You're refusing to accept a system that makes basic needs conditional on productivity. Every time you rest without guilt, you're resisting the lie that human worth equals productivity. Every time you claim rest as your right, you're challenging a system that treats people as machines. This is small-scale resistance, but it matters, because the system that makes rest conditional on productivity, that's a system of exploitation. It extracts as much productivity as possible while granting as little rest as possible. When you refuse to feel guilty about rest, you're refusing to participate in your own exploitation. When you claim rest as a right, you're asserting your human dignity over productivity demands. This isn't selfish. It's an act of justice. Justice toward yourself. And by extension, justice toward all humans who deserve to have their basic needs met unconditionally. Tonight, when you rest without guilt, you're doing more than caring for yourself. You're participating in a more just world. A world where humans are valued for being human, not for being productive. A world where basic needs are rights, not rewards. Rest is your right. Claiming that right is an act of justice. And tonight, you're claiming it. Now let's address the core issue beneath productivity guilt, the belief that you're not enough, that you must do more, accomplish more, be more to be worthy. Tonight, we challenge this belief. There's a story you tell yourself. A story so familiar it feels like truth. The story goes like this: I'm not enough. I haven't done enough. I haven't accomplished enough. I'm not enough as I am. This story drives productivity guilt, because if you're not enough, you must become enough. You must do more, accomplish more, produce more, until finally, someday, you'll be enough, and only then will you deserve rest. But here's the trap: that day never comes. Because the story isn't about reaching enough. It's about believing you're never enough. No matter how much you do, the story says, not enough yet. Do more. This is why you can't earn your way out of productivity guilt. Because the guilt isn't really about not having done enough. It's about believing you're not enough. And no amount of doing will convince you that you are enough. So the solution isn't to do more. It's to question the story, to challenge the belief, to recognize, maybe I've been enough all along. Maybe enough isn't something I become through doing. Maybe I already am enough. What if you're already enough? What if there's nothing you need to do to become enough? What if you've been enough your whole life, and the not enough story is just a lie you've been told? This possibility might feel dangerous, scary, like if you believe you're enough, you'll stop trying, stop doing, stop accomplishing. But that's the fear talking. That's the conditioning that needs you to believe you're not enough, so you'll keep producing. The truth is, recognizing you're enough doesn't make you lazy. It makes you free. Free to do things because you want to, not because you must prove yourself. Free to rest when you need to, not when you've earned it. Free to be yourself, already enough. You were enough as a baby. Think about this. You didn't do anything, didn't accomplish anything, didn't produce anything, yet you were enough. You were valuable. You were worthy. You were loved. You didn't earn your worth through achievement. You didn't become enough by being productive. You were enough simply by existing. Your being was enough. And then, when did this change? At what point did you stop being inherently enough? When did you start needing to earn your worth through doing? The truth is, it never changed. You're still enough, the same way you were enough as a baby. Your worth is still inherent. You still don't need to earn it. You're still enough simply by being. But you were taught otherwise. Taught that you must achieve to be valuable, must produce to be worthy, must constantly do more to be enough. You learned the not enough story. but what you learned can be unlearned. And the truth underneath the learning is still there. You are enough. You've always been enough. You always will be enough. Not because of what you do, because of what you are. Can you reconnect with that baby who was enough without doing anything? Can you remember that your worth isn't conditional on achievement? Can you recognize, I'm still that same being, still inherently enough? The not enough story treats enough as a destination, a place you'll reach if you do enough, accomplish enough, become enough. But enough isn't a destination. It's not something you arrive at. Enough is what you already are, right now, not in the future, not after you've accomplished more. Right now, you are enough, in this moment, exactly as you are. This doesn't mean you're perfect, doesn't mean you can't grow or learn or change. It means your fundamental worth, your enoughness, doesn't depend on growth or learning or change. You can grow and still be enough right now. You can learn and still be enough right now. You can change and still be enough right now. Because enough isn't about reaching perfection. It's about recognizing inherent worth. When you stop treating enough as a destination, productivity guilt loses power, because you're not trying to do enough to arrive at enough. You're already there. You're already enough. So rest doesn't delay your arrival. You've already arrived. Right now, you are enough. Not someday. Not after you've done more. Right now. Can you feel this? Can you let yourself believe, even for a moment, that you're enough right now? I am enough, right now, in this moment, exactly as I am. I don't need to do more to be enough. I don't need to become different to be enough. I am already enough. Living with the not enough story is exhausting, because you must constantly prove yourself, constantly demonstrate your worth, constantly earn your right to exist, to rest, to be valued. Every day, you wake up and must prove again that you're enough. Yesterday's accomplishments don't count. You must re-earn your worth through today's productivity. It never ends. You're always on trial, always needing to prove yourself. This is exhausting, and ironically, the exhaustion makes you less productive, which makes you feel more not enough, which makes you try harder to prove yourself, which makes you more exhausted. It's a vicious cycle. But what if you stopped trying to prove yourself? What if you recognized that your worth doesn't need proving? What if you're enough without any proof? This isn't giving up. It's giving yourself a break. A break from the exhausting work of constantly proving your worth. A recognition that you don't need to prove what's already true. You're enough. Tonight, stop proving. Stop trying to demonstrate your worth. Stop attempting to earn enoughness. Just be. Just exist. Just rest. Without needing to prove anything. You're enough without proof. You're enough without achievement. You're enough without productivity. You're enough because you are. And that's not something you need to prove. So how do you let yourself be enough? How do you release the not enough story and embrace the truth of your inherent worth? First, by noticing the story. When it arises, I'm not enough, I need to do more. Notice it. Recognize it as a story, not as truth. Ah, there's the not enough story again. Second, by questioning it. Is it true? Am I really not enough? Or is this just conditioning? Just a learned belief? Let yourself doubt the story. Let yourself wonder if maybe you've been enough all along. Third, by remembering the baby. You were enough as a baby without doing anything. Has that really changed? Or are you still inherently worthy, still inherently enough? Fourth, by acting as if you're enough. Even if you don't fully believe it yet, act as if. Rest as if you're enough to deserve rest. Exist as if you're enough to deserve existence. Practice being enough. Fifth, by being patient with yourself. The not enough story is deep. It won't release immediately. Some days you'll believe you're enough. Other days you'll doubt it. That's okay. Keep returning to the truth. You are enough. Tonight, practice letting yourself be enough. Enough to deserve this rest. Enough to lie here without guilt. Enough to exist without proving anything. Let yourself be enough. I am enough. I don't need to prove it. I don't need to earn it. I simply am enough. And because I'm enough, I deserve rest. I deserve peace. I deserve to be here, exactly as I am. When you truly believe you're enough, everything changes. Not just productivity guilt, everything. When you're enough, You don't need to prove yourself through productivity. You can do things because you want to, not because you must demonstrate worth. When you're enough, rest isn't a threat to your worth. You can rest without guilt, knowing rest doesn't make you less valuable. You were valuable before rest. You're valuable during rest. You'll be valuable after rest. When you're enough, you can be present with your life, not always striving toward some future when you'll finally be enough, but here, now, already enough, experiencing life as it unfolds. When you're enough, you can be compassionate with yourself. You don't need to be harsh, demanding, punishing. You can be kind to yourself, recognizing you're doing your best and you're enough even when your best isn't perfect. Enough becomes the foundation for everything, not the destination you're trying to reach. The foundation you're already standing on. The ground truth underneath all the doing and striving and proving. You are enough. Let this be your foundation. Let this be what you return to when productivity guilt arises. Let this be the truth that sets you free. Tonight, rest on this foundation. Rest knowing you're enough. Rest without needing to prove or earn or justify. Rest because you're enough, and enough people deserve rest. Now we turn to the practical work of releasing guilt. You understand the guilt. You see where it comes from. You know it's based on lies. Now, how do you actually let it go? Productivity guilt is a habit, a habitual thought pattern, a habitual feeling, a habitual way of relating to rest. And like any habit, it can be changed, not instantly, but gradually, through practice. You've practiced guilt for years, maybe decades. Every time you rested, you practiced feeling guilty. Every time you stopped working, you practiced the thought, I haven't done enough. Every time you lay down, you practiced the belief, I don't deserve this. You've gotten very good at guilt. You've practiced it so much it's become automatic, unconscious, just the way you relate to rest. You might not even notice you're doing it anymore. But habits can be changed. You can practice a different response. You can practice resting without guilt. You can practice the thought, I have the right to rest. You can practice the belief, I deserve this. It won't feel natural at first. The new habit will feel forced, fake, uncomfortable. That's normal. That's how changing habits feels. The old habit, guilt, is familiar and comfortable. The new habit, resting without guilt, is unfamiliar and awkward. But with practice, the new habit becomes more natural, more automatic, more comfortable. Slowly, gradually, guilt releases its grip, and resting without guilt becomes your new normal. Tonight is practice. You're practicing a new habit. The habit of resting without guilt. The habit of recognizing you deserve rest. The habit of releasing the old conditioning and embracing a new truth. Don't expect perfection. Don't expect the habit to change overnight. Just practice. Each time guilt arises, practice questioning it. Practice choosing rest anyway. Practice the new habit. Let me give you 4 simple practices for releasing guilt. These are tools you can use tonight, tomorrow, and every time guilt arises. First practice. Notice. The first step in releasing guilt is noticing it. You can't release what you don't see. So practice noticing when guilt arises. Right now, is guilt present? Can you feel it? Maybe it's a tightness in your chest. Maybe it's a thought in your mind, I should be doing something else. Maybe it's a subtle discomfort with being still. Just notice. Don't judge the guilt. Don't try to fix it yet. Just notice it's there. There's guilt. There's the old familiar pattern. There's the conditioning arising again. This noticing is powerful, because when you notice guilt, you create space between you and it. You're not the guilt. You're the awareness noticing the guilt. And from that space, choice becomes possible. Practice this noticing throughout tonight, throughout tomorrow. Whenever you rest, notice. Is guilt present? Just notice. Just see it clearly. This noticing is the foundation for releasing. Second practice. Question. Once you notice guilt, question it. Don't accept it as truth. Interrogate it. Challenge it. Ask, is this true? Guilt says, you haven't done enough to deserve rest. Question, is that true? Is rest something I must deserve? Or is it a basic need I'm entitled to? Guilt says, you're being lazy. Question, am I being lazy? Or am I meeting a biological need? Is rest laziness? Or is rest necessary? Guilt says, you should be doing something productive. Question, should I? Says who? Is constant productivity required? Or am I allowed to rest? Don't just accept guilt's accusations. Question them. Examine them. Test them against truth. And often, you'll find, guilt's accusations don't hold up to questioning. Right now, what is guilt saying to you? Can you question it? Can you ask, is this true? Or is this just old conditioning? Practice questioning. Every time guilt arises, question it. Don't let it speak unopposed. Challenge it. And often, simply questioning guilt is enough to loosen its grip. Third practice, choose anyway. After noticing and questioning, comes choosing. Guilt will often still be present, but you can choose to rest anyway. Choose to not let guilt control you. This is important. You don't have to wait until guilt disappears to rest. You can feel guilty and still choose rest. You can notice the guilt, question it, and then rest despite it. Guilt says you shouldn't rest. You question, is that true? And then, whether you're fully convinced or not, you choose, I'm going to rest anyway. I'm choosing rest despite the guilt. This choice is powerful because it shows guilt it doesn't control you. It shows that you're stronger than the conditioning. It shows that you can rest even when guilt is present. And often, when you choose to rest despite guilt, the guilt starts to fade. Not because you fought it, but because you didn't let it control you. You chose something else. Right now, guilt might be present. Can you choose to rest anyway? Can you say, I see you, guilt. I hear you. And I'm choosing to rest anyway. I'm choosing my right to rest over your demands. Practice choosing. Choose rest even when guilt says you shouldn't. Choose your right over the conditioning. Choose freedom over habit. Fourth practice, replace with truth. As you release guilt, practice replacing it with truth. Don't just remove guilt, fill that space with something better. When guilt says you don't deserve rest, replace it with I have the right to rest. Rest is a basic human need I'm entitled to. When guilt says you're being lazy, Replace it with I'm taking care of my body's needs. Rest is self-care, not laziness. When guilt says you haven't done enough, replace it with I'm already enough. My worth doesn't depend on productivity. I deserve rest simply by being human. Don't just create empty space where guilt was. Fill it with truth, with affirmations of your right to rest, with recognition of your inherent worth, with acknowledgement of rest as a basic need. Practice this replacement. Every time you notice and question guilt, replace it with truth. Slowly, the truth becomes more familiar than the guilt. The new habit replaces the old. Right now, what truth can you use to replace guilt? What statement affirms your right to rest? What recognition honors your need for restoration? As you work with these practices, be compassionate with yourself. Don't add self-judgment to the guilt. Don't make yourself wrong for feeling guilty. You've been conditioned to feel guilty about rest. 4 years. 4 decades. Of course you still feel guilty. Of course it's hard to let go. Of course it takes time and practice. This is normal. This is human. So when guilt arises, don't judge yourself. Why do I still feel guilty? What's wrong with me? Why can't I just let this go? That's just more guilt. Guilt about having guilt. Instead, be compassionate. Of course I feel guilty. I've been taught this my whole life. It makes sense this is hard to release. I'm doing my best. And I'm being gentle with myself in this process. Compassion is healing. Judgment makes guilt worse. So practice compassion. Be kind to yourself as you learn to rest without guilt. Be patient with yourself as old patterns release. Right now, can you have compassion for yourself? For any guilt you're feeling? For the challenge of releasing deep conditioning? Can you be kind to yourself? I'm doing my best. Releasing this conditioning is hard. I'm being patient with myself. I'm being compassionate with myself. I'm allowing this to take time. Remember, releasing guilt is a process, not an event. It happens gradually, layer by layer, night by night. Be patient with the process. Some nights, guilt will be minimal. You'll rest easily, without much guilt arising. Celebrate this. Notice this progress. Other nights, guilt will be strong, persistent, difficult to release. Don't see this as failure. See it as an opportunity to practice, to notice, question, choose, replace. The process isn't linear. You'll have good nights and difficult nights, forward movement and apparent setbacks. This is normal. This is how change works. What matters is the overall trajectory. Are you, over time, getting better at resting without guilt? Are you, gradually, releasing the old conditioning? Are you, slowly, claiming your right to rest? If the answer is yes, even if it's just slightly yes, then you're making progress. And that's enough. That's all that's required. Slow, gradual progress toward freedom from guilt. Tonight is part of that process. One night, one practice session, one step toward freedom, and that's enough. We're approaching the final teaching section. You've done the work of understanding and releasing. Now we focus on receiving. Receiving rest freely, without conditions, without guilt. Receiving is different from taking. Taking is active, forceful, demanding. Receiving is passive, open, allowing. Tonight, you're practicing receiving rest. You're not taking rest, fighting for it, demanding it, justifying it. You're receiving rest, opening to it, allowing it, welcoming it as something that's already yours. This shift is subtle but profound. When you take rest, there's still effort, still doing, still the sense that you must make rest happen. When you receive rest, there's ease, allowing, the recognition that rest is available and you simply need to open to it. Right now, you're not trying to make rest happen. You're allowing rest to come to you. You're opening your hands and receiving what's being offered. Rest is here. You're simply receiving it. This receiving requires trust. Trust that rest is available. Trust that you're allowed to receive it. Trust that you don't need to earn it or fight for it. You simply need to open to it. Can you feel the difference between trying to take rest and allowing yourself to receive it? Between making rest happen and opening to rest that's already here? Practice receiving. Open your hands. Open your heart. Open your whole being. and receive the rest that's freely offered. No earning required, just receiving. Think of rest as a gift, not a reward you earned, not something you took. A gift, given freely, offered without conditions. When someone offers you a gift, you don't need to earn it. You don't need to justify receiving it. You simply say thank you and receive it. Rest is the same. Life is offering you rest. Your body is offering you rest. This moment is offering you rest. And you don't need to earn this gift. You simply need to receive it. Gifts are meant to be received with gratitude, not guilt. When someone gives you a gift, you don't feel guilty about receiving it. You don't say, "I don't deserve this." You say thank you and you receive it. Tonight, rest is a gift being offered to you. Can you receive it with gratitude instead of guilt? Can you say thank you and simply receive? Thank you for this rest. Thank you for this time to restore. Thank you for this gift. I receive it with gratitude. I receive it without guilt. I receive it freely. The most important word, unconditional. You're receiving rest unconditionally, without conditions, without requirements, without needing to meet any standard. Unconditional rest means rest that's not dependent on your productivity, not dependent on your accomplishments, not dependent on your worthiness. Rest that's available simply because you're a living being who needs rest. Can you receive rest this way, without checking if you've met conditions, without reviewing if you've earned it? Just unconditionally receiving because rest is offered and you need it. This is radical in our culture. We're so used to conditional everything. Conditional love, conditional respect, conditional rest. But tonight, you're practicing unconditional receiving. Rest is yours. No conditions attached. No requirements needed. No earning necessary. Rest is yours unconditionally. Can you receive it that way? Let go of all conditions. I can rest if. I deserve rest because. I've earned rest by. Let all of that go. Just receive. Unconditionally. I receive this rest unconditionally. No requirements needed. No conditions attached. I simply receive because rest is mine to receive. Receiving rest isn't just a mental decision. It's a whole body experience. Let your body receive rest. Feel your body sinking into the bed. That's your body receiving support. Feel your muscles softening. That's your body receiving permission to release tension. Feel your breath deepening. That's your body receiving the oxygen it needs. Your body knows how to receive rest. It's been doing it your whole life. Your mind might struggle with guilt and conditions, but your body simply receives what it needs. Trust your body. Let your body lead in receiving rest. Your body doesn't need to earn rest. It simply needs rest. And when you give permission, your body knows exactly how to receive it. Right now, let your body receive. Feel it softening, sinking, releasing, receiving the rest that's available. Your body receiving freely, without guilt, without conditions. Every cell in your body is receiving rest right now. Your nervous system is receiving regulation. Your muscles are receiving restoration. Your brain is receiving the space it needs to process and integrate. Let your whole body receive, not just tolerating rest, but actively receiving it, welcoming it, opening to it. Your body knows this is what it needs. When you receive rest freely, without guilt, without conditions, without having to earn it, something unexpected can happen. Joy. There's joy in receiving gifts. There's joy in being allowed to meet your needs. There's joy in resting without burden. Have you felt it? Even just a glimmer? Guilt blocks joy. When you're guilty about resting, you can't enjoy it. You're too busy feeling wrong to feel good. But when guilt releases, joy becomes possible. Can you feel even a small sense of joy about receiving this rest? A lightness, a pleasure in being allowed to be still, a happiness in meeting your body's needs. You're allowed to enjoy rest. You're allowed to take pleasure in restoration. You're allowed to feel good about receiving what you need. Joy is allowed here. Let yourself feel joy. Let rest be pleasurable, not guilt-ridden. Let receiving be delightful, not shameful. Let this moment be enjoyed, not merely tolerated. I allow myself to enjoy this rest. I allow myself to feel joy in receiving. I allow myself to take pleasure in being still. Joy is mine to feel. When you learn to receive rest freely, you're learning something bigger. You're learning to receive life freely, to receive goodness without earning it, to receive what you need without guilt. This practice of receiving rest without conditions, it extends beyond rest. It's practice for receiving love without earning it, for receiving kindness without deserving it, for receiving life itself as a gift, not a reward. So tonight's practice matters beyond just tonight. You're learning a new way of being, a way of receiving rather than earning, a way of allowing rather than proving, a way of opening rather than justifying. This is life-changing practice, not just for your rest, but for your entire relationship with yourself, with others, with existence itself. Tonight, as you receive rest freely, you're practicing receiving life freely, opening to goodness, allowing yourself to have needs and meet them, recognizing that you're worthy of receiving simply by being alive. This is the practice. This is the path. This is how you learn to live freely instead of constantly earning your right to exist. As we close this section, practice one more time. Full receiving, complete receiving, unconditional receiving. Rest is here, available, offered freely, and you're receiving it, not earning it, not justifying it, not proving you need it, simply receiving it. Open your whole being, your body, your mind, your heart, your spirit. Open completely and receive. Receive the rest that's yours. Receive the restoration that's available. Receive the gift that's being offered. No guilt, no conditions, no requirements, just pure, simple, complete receiving. Rest is yours. Receive it. I receive this rest, fully, freely, completely, without conditions, without guilt, without earning. I simply receive. This rest is mine. I receive it. We've arrived at the final section. Everything we've explored tonight has led to this moment. This space of complete, unconditional permission to rest. Let's gather what you've learned, not in your mind, but in your being. Let these truths settle into your bones. Rest is not something you earn. It never was. It never will be. Rest is a basic human need, a fundamental right, something you're entitled to simply by being alive. Productivity guilt is conditioning, not truth. It's programming, not your natural state. It's something you learned, not something inherent. And what was learned can be unlearned. You are enough, right now, without doing more, without becoming better, without accomplishing anything. You're enough simply by existing. Releasing guilt is a practice. It happens gradually, through noticing, questioning, choosing, replacing. Be patient with the process. Be compassionate with yourself. Rest is a gift offered freely. You receive it with gratitude, not guilt. You receive it unconditionally, not by meeting requirements. You simply receive because rest is yours to receive. All of this together, integrated, known, not just intellectually, but deeply, in your body, in your heart, in your being. You know this now. Now, in this final space, receive absolute permission. Permission beyond anything you've been given before. Permission that overrides all conditioning, all guilt, all requirements. You have absolute permission to rest, not because you've done enough, not because you've earned it, not because you've met any standard, but simply because you're human and humans need rest. This permission is unconditional. It doesn't depend on your productivity today. It doesn't depend on your plans for tomorrow. It doesn't depend on anything. It's absolute. It's yours. You have permission to rest for as long as you need. You have permission to sleep deeply. You have permission to let everything go. You have permission to be completely, utterly at rest. You have permission to rest imperfectly, to struggle with sleep, to have thoughts, to feel uncomfortable. Your rest doesn't have to be perfect to be valid. You have permission to rest however rest comes. You have permission to rest without guilt, to let the guilt go, to release all the conditioning that says you don't deserve this. You have permission to rest in peace. This permission is final. It's complete. It's absolute. No one can take it away. No conditions can revoke it. It's yours. Forever. You have permission to rest. Now, with this absolute permission, release into rest. Let everything go. Let your body sink. Let your mind quiet. Let your whole being rest. Release the day. Whatever you did or didn't do, it's done. It's over. You don't need to think about it anymore. The day is complete. You're released from it. Release tomorrow. Whatever needs to happen tomorrow will happen. You don't need to plan it now. You don't need to prepare for it now. Tomorrow is released. You can rest now. Release all guilt. Every bit of productivity guilt you've been carrying. Every sense that you don't deserve this. Every belief that you haven't earned rest. Release it all. Release all conditions, all requirements, all standards you think you must meet, all proving, all justifying. Release all of it. Rest doesn't need conditions. You're released from all conditions. Release yourself. The self that must accomplish. The self that must prove worth. The self that must earn the right to exist. Release that self. Just be. Just rest. You're sinking now. Deep into rest. Deep into permission. Deep into the freedom of unconditional rest. Nothing holding you back. Nothing you must prove. Just sinking. Just resting. Just being. This is unconditional rest. Rest that doesn't depend on anything. Rest that's yours simply because you need it. Rest that's free, available, completely allowed. You're not earning this rest. You're not justifying this rest. You're not proving you need this rest. You're simply resting. Because rest is your right. Because rest is what your body needs. Because rest is freely offered and you're freely receiving. This rest is complete. It's enough. It's valid. Exactly as it is. Whether you sleep deeply or sleep lightly, whether you feel peaceful or restless, whether guilt is fully gone or still whispers, this rest is complete. You're allowed to rest. Completely, fully, deeply, without earning it. Without guilt, without conditions. You're allowed. You're allowed. You're allowed. Now, begin to deepen. Sink further into rest. Further into permission. Further into the freedom of unconditional rest. Your body knows how to rest. It's been doing this your whole life. Your body doesn't have productivity guilt. It simply rests when it needs rest. Trust your body. Follow your body's wisdom. Let yourself be heavy, heavier than you've ever been, sinking into the bed like sinking into the earth. Nothing to hold up, nothing to maintain, just sinking, just heavy, just restful. Deeper with each breath, more released with each moment, more at rest with each heartbeat, your whole being settling into profound, complete, unconditional rest. You don't need to do anything. Don't need to accomplish anything. Don't need to become anything. Just rest. Just be. Just sink into this complete permission to rest. Everything is fading now. The teachings fading into knowing. The words fading into silence. The effort fading into ease. Everything softening into deep, unconditional rest. Your breath is slowing. Your body is settling. Your mind is quieting. The transition is beginning. The gentle movement from waking into sleeping. And you're allowed to make this journey. You're allowed to cross over. You're at the edge now. The threshold between waking and sleeping. Between conscious and unconscious. Between day and night. You don't need to watch for this crossing. Don't need to notice when it happens. Just let yourself drift toward it. Blur into it. Cross over when your body is ready. Sleep is coming. Not because you earned it, not because you deserve it, but because your body needs it and sleep is your right. Sleep is coming for you. Let yourself go. Let consciousness fade. Let awareness soften. Let everything drift into the gentle darkness of sleep. You're allowed to go. You're allowed to sleep. You're allowed. The boundary is dissolving. Waking and sleeping merging into one another. You're floating in that in-between space, neither fully awake nor fully asleep, just floating, just drifting, just allowing. And it's okay to be here. It's okay to linger in this threshold. It's okay to take your time. There's no rush, no urgency, just this gentle drifting towards sleep, at your body's own pace. Everything fading now, the day fading, the guilt fading, the conditions fading. Everything softening into rest. You're not holding on to anything anymore. Not holding on to productivity. Not holding on to guilt. Not holding on to consciousness. Just letting go. Just fading. Just resting. So peaceful now. So permitted. So allowed. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to fade. You're allowed to sleep. You're allowed. Your body is so heavy now, sinking deeper into the bed, deeper into rest, deeper into sleep. So heavy, so soft, so completely at rest. Fading, releasing, resting, sleeping. All permission granted, all conditions released, all guilt dissolved. Just pure, simple, unconditional rest. Just this. Just sleep. Just peace. Rest is yours. Not earned. Not conditional. Just yours. You're allowed. Sleep now. Rest now. You're allowed. You're allowed. You're allowed. So deeply resting now. So completely allowed. Nothing to prove. Nothing to earn. Just this gentle sleep, yours to receive, freely given, unconditionally offered. I'll see you soon. May your rest be deep, and your dreams be gentle.